Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This video is in response to a comment in the comment section. Artie prevents camping. Must be a World of Tanks player. For the Mutalist Cernos, if you're here for a build, here's the Grineer one. For Corpus, you're going to swap out 100 munitions and do 60-60 mods for Magnetic. And swap the Bane for Corpus. Infested, you're going to do a single heat and 100 munitions also. This is a quick attack build, so Prime Fast Hands gives you more shots per minute than fire rate, because charge time doesn't matter because we're using quick shots. So there you go. If you're looking for a build, Godspeed. The rest of this video is going to be a bit of math. Alright, so the issue that we have with Mutalist Cernos is everybody loves to talk about it like it's broke. And it's not. It's just old. Like me. So, the issue with the Mutalist Cernos is it's a fairly old weapon. Looking at the wiki, it says 2016. Seems so long ago. Anyway, so the interaction that we're actually going to end up talking about a decent amount is if you look at the quick shot, you should be using the Mutalist Cernos for quick shot right now, because the quick attack, I'm pretty sure, is multiplicative. Actually, let me just check. I am pretty sure the quick attack. Yeah, you should be using the quick attack right now. It's multiplicative. It's a good meme. So we're going to start out with the basics. We're going to look at the weapon. Crit chance of 15%. Kinda low, but still usable. We can get it up to 45 with crit delay. So about 50% of the time, we'll get a crit. Now, one of the things about this weapon is that you can get an insane amount of multi-shot on it if you have a Riven. Because there is a unique mod for this. The Mutalist Cernos to build with all of the upgraded mods and the unique mods is actually kind of an expensive build. So let's do our gimmies. Okay, let's start with this. Galvanized Aptitude. We are going to use a mod called Split Flights. I would wait until this shows up at Barrow if you don't have it. And you like something like the Mutalist Cernos, or say like the Cernos Prime. Make sure to get this mod. It is significantly more powerful than Galvanized Chamber. If you don't have Split Flights, or you don't like the accuracy loss, put Galvanized Chamber in. But if you just want some meme damage, or you're running a couple of specific frames, and one of the conditions is actually a helmet. So this is a gimme, multi-shot base damage. Let's go ahead and put this on. We're gonna need, and I am putting 8 on for a reason. It's a very tight build. Ammo recovery. Your best option is either Vigilante Supplies, which I am going to put on. If you are really having issues with ammo, go with Ammo Mutation. Because right now, as far as I know, no Prime mod, unless I missed it. I don't think I did, though. We are going to end up doing a crit build. More specifically, a crit 100 munition build. Just because of the level of multi-shot that this weapon is going to accumulate. with lower crit chance weapons, you can get away with lower crit chance if the weapon makes up for it with a ton of multi-shot. And the Mutalist Cernos is definitely in that category. If you're only going to be getting like 2 bullets, 3 bullets, if you don't have galvanized chamber, maybe go for a status build if you have enough status to work with. But just galvanized aptitude is going to bring us to 88 and change status chance. So we got 3 mods left. We're going to be building correct and taking advantage of a unique interaction that the Mutalist Cernos has. So we are going to have room for a Bane. So it goes right here. So we filled all of our mods except for 2. So the interaction that we need to worry about... Actually, okay, let's do the final mod. Because we're going to spend a pretty good chunk of time literally talking about 1 mod slot. So the final one, because we're using a quick attack, charge rate doesn't matter. Charge rate is literally that reticle going around. But you can get a feel for how fast it shoots with the quick attack. If you can see, not using the reticle, so charge attack isn't helping us. If you do want to use a charge attack, vial acceleration takes us from 0.83 to 0.21, but we're going to be using a quick attack. So we are actually going to slot primed fast hands. Admittedly, this is going to be your flex slot. The reload speed, if you do decide to roll a Riven. Like when I use my build, I get rid of this, drag this over here, drag this over, and the Riven goes here. Right? So that's the mod that disappears for now. Let me put what I had on their back. Fast hands. Okay, so what's the deal with the Mutalist Cernos? And this is going to be a bit of math. Let me get a cleared calculator. Because the weapon is glitched, sort of. So when you mod for an element, and the element that we were using before was electricity. We have 6 capacity, having some forma issues, or some polarity issues, and we're trying to do a lot. Multiplicative damage on the galvanized aptitude. Merciless does us a hell of a lot of favor. This weapon does damage. So the issue with it is if we scroll down to the statuses, with 1 element mod, I have corrosive and electricity. And to be honest, sort of a Warframe trivia, the other weapon that does this is actually the lens. So food for thought. Where you'll see multiple statuses of the same type, like double blast, double magnetic, stuff like that. Reason being is because this is an older weapon, it is literally how... And let me back out real quick so it cleans that up, because we got a bit to talk about. If you see from 1 mod, we have corrosive electricity. The weapon is not bugged. Okay? It's not bugged. It's an older weapon. What's happening is it's including the damage from the little toxin spores as base damage, because they apply every time you shoot, right? And then they apply a dot afterwards. But with this weapon, they count as base damage. So what's actually happening, and I'm going to take this off, is you see we have 5 toxin damage with melees and secondaries. It combines, just gives you one nice big corrosive proc. But with this weapon, when you mod for a single element, it gives you the proper resource bonus, or the proper bonus to modded damage. So our element is 45% bonus base damage. We have, or raw damage. We have nothing on here that is increasing base damage. So the base damage, the base damage is 210 with no mods. If you see, it's 210. So we're going to do 210 plus 45%. And we get 304.5 with a 45% electric, which is here. So here's our new raw damage, not our base damage. And sure enough, we have all of our damage. Okay, so you're not losing anything yet. But here's the issue. The toxin proc on this counts toward base damage. It counts like a impact puncture / proc. It doesn't count toward modded damage, if you will. So the issue that happens is if you add any combination of elements where it's a combined element that involves modding on your weapon, literally putting it as a mod slot, that has toxin on it. So we're going to take this and we're going to mod it. Look what happens. And I'll do it again. So we're at 215. I am going to take the mod off. And we go from 215 to 304. So why is this happening? And it doesn't make sense at first, but you are actually really familiar with this. And remember what my words are, is it counts as base damage. Because Kuva weapons did not exist when this weapon came out. The toxin appears to be coded, like the actual programming of it, like an impact puncture / weighting. Okay? Now, everybody's familiar with this, but if you take the mods off, so we're back to our original statuses. When you mod for /, so plus 100 per 20% /, it only increases that stat. So when you mod for toxin, and you have a combination element, instead of basing it off the base damage, it bases it off that stat. So your scaling for corrosive is based off of 5 instead of 210. So 260/60s, 5 plus 120%. There you go. So with this weapon, you either have to go single element, like a single modded element, or you have to do triple to keep the interaction from happening. And to show that, okay, so we have, there we go. So a single, oh, hold on, I did it backwards. There we go. So corrosive and electricity, and the other element that you could mod to not mess this up would be, what do we got? Cold and heat. And heat. And you see we have blast now. But we still have the electricity and the toxin. Right? And we take it off. We go from 310 to 304. It's really sad. That being said, I would not do that. Obviously. The weapon does appear to be bugged. Because obviously, adding blast and only getting 6, the weapon is bugged. So if you're going to mod this, you need to mod with a single element. With a single modded element, and combine it with toxin. So your choice would be like electricity, cold, and heat. So your options would be corrosive electric, gas heat. What was the other one that I said? Whatever the other one is. Hold on. So we have voltage for corrosive electric. Not that one. Viral cold. And gas heat. And that is just how you're going to mod this weapon. Because it's bugged. Because it considers the toxin proc as separate in terms of programming, but it counts toward the base damage. If they wanted to fix this, they would do base damage, and then like how they have the charge shot and the radial shot off to the side. Because if you notice with this, there's no radial attack. It's because it's included in the quick shot. So no comment in terms of like lazy programming or anything. We're just trying to understand what we're looking at, right? So the weapon always has the radial attack, but it's the separate status isn't included. So it doesn't help, right? So let's remod and see what the damage that we're dealing with is. And to be honest, it's very, very, very good damage. Especially for something with no mods. And with as weak as the crit chance and the crit multiplier are, there are ways to make this significantly better. Like using frame synergies, and we'll go over some of those. So this is sort of a friendly quick attack build. So let's go over the damage that's expected. We are going to help it out at the beginning. $300 something toxin procs. You gotta love that. Nice and easy. Alright, we got our stacks. 2 ticked. 2 ticked. Two shots with 3 ticks. 2 shots, 2 ticks. Same. And one of the things that does help this weapon is if you're just running between enemies, split flights needs constant attention. So quick attack builds are super nice with it. One of the downside of split flights is it benefits faster firing bows significantly more, because it has a very short hold period where it buffs you. I'm gonna look at it again. The buff is 4 seconds, Or sorry, the buff is 2 seconds, and then you just lose the entire stack. That's why when I'm running split flights, I don't want to use charge. Um, Especially because of the multiplicative damage. So for your regular mission running, this is perfectly fine. If you don't have split flights, that goes there. Nice and easy. It's a little bit less multi-shot, but the stacks last way longer. And you don't have the accuracy decline. Not that that's going to be an issue on this weapon, because I'm going to show you a couple of synergies, food for thought, right? And then we'll do a solid meme build. Lavos with expedited suffering. See how high we can get. So that's sort of the explanation, the breakdown of this. But there are exceptions for this, so let's go over a couple of them. If you are stripping enemies' armor regularly, you can get away with a gas build here. Mod for heat. Let's grab that mod. Heat and gas. Because the wonderful part about this is gas doesn't need modded damage. So only the heat benefits from modded damage. So this is actually reasonably strong, and let me show you how it does against Armored Grenier. Oh, need baddies. So even with the low crit chance, you just pop the enemies a couple of times, at least twice, to get the max stacks on split flights. And just watch the toxin dots go. So there you go. Plenty of slash procs from Hunter Munition. Got about 6 there with 2 shots. 6 there with 3. 12. And the thing is that with the crit, it procs on the gas cloud also. Let's see if we can get a slash. Okay, can't even tell. 3, 4. I think that was 5. 9, 10. 11. Went down to 8, so we got 3 at once. 10. So with 2 procs, because of the arrows, it builds the dot, the slash dot, way better than you would think, because the dot can trigger slash ticks. So 8, 7, 4, 3, 2. Okay, let's do the dot one more time. 2 slash ticks, 3, 4, 3, 2. Okay, yeah, they're falling off. So you have plenty of chances to trigger the slash tick with Hunter Munitions, which is why we're running crit on a weapon with such a low crit chance. So even with gas heat, you got viral from the Panzer, Just a little bit of armor strip from heat is good enough. And then if you do like stripping from the frame with, say, like an Ash, like a Caliban, a Necros, or something like that, even Oberon would count. Just anything that gets the armor off. The gas heat build will probably end up doing more damage than a slash build, especially if you're getting viral from like a Panzer. And I know this is going to be a hot take, but against unarmored enemies, slash is not the best dot. It's the best dot against Grenier if you're not stripping armor, but if you're stripping armor and doing damage to health, slash is not the best dot. You can go like gas, do gas, electricity, heat, toxin, because you can mod for them. Gas probably ends up being the strongest because of the way it interacts with faction mods. So I know that's a bit of a hot take because of the hard-on people have for slash. But if the enemies don't have any armor, slash isn't the best name in town. Gas is. But they have to be unarmored. So it's a big conditional. And then on top of it, you can buff it with viral status from the Panzer and get pretty nutty slash procs. Or gas procs. Talking crap about slash. So this is the bread and butter build. If you wanted to amp the damage even more, or if you just didn't care about the fire rate, Prime Fast Hands knocks your reload from 0.5 to 0.3. It's not a difference to sneeze at. Like, that is a big difference. 40% faster. It's a straight DPS increase if the bow can quick attack. So it's better than charge rate because you're not charging. You're not charging. So why do you care what the charge rate is? So this is the build. Now let's talk about, if you noticed, we weren't really hitting because of the downside of split flights. We weren't really hitting all of the enemies with our arrows, right? So let's talk about fixing that. So we got a charge attack. There you go. Gas, toxin, wonderful combo. Damage vulnerability helps. But if you look, you can see the spread that we have. Right? You can see the spread that we have. We can fix that. We can actually fix it pretty easily. There's two ways that are the easiest. Zada's Whisper. Instead of having to hit an enemy, you gotta hit a bubble. Everything hits. Damage vulnerability. You're just shooting at bubbles. Pretty basic. You can see the arrows getting drug in, right? Like, you can see them going down there. I know the trails are hard. There you go. Nice and easy. She's got her Zada's back. See it dive down. The one good thing about this is if, say, and it would be more relevant on, say, like a Demolist, because this weapon can do level cap, is Zada use the accurate arrow to get the headshot, and then spam the inaccurate ones once you have Zada's applied, so they all go to the head. Right? So that would be the easiest way to abuse it. You can see everything stabbing the guy in the face, right? So again, headshot with the accurate one. Spam to get the rest of them. One more time. Headshot. And spam to get the rest of them. So as split flights stacks up, you're still getting headshots, which would be incredibly hard to do with how bad the accuracy gets on these. If you're trying to get headshots, there's really no other way to guarantee it. That being said, there is another contender. The lovely mag. And this is a very, 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 very meta setup from back in the day. Mag with the Mutalist cernos and a level cap run is very meta. And reason being is the dots in AoE. Same thing as before. Fire away. It doesn't do much damage at first, but it builds and builds, and you can keep casting bubbles and dragging people into it. The damage just keeps building. This would be one of the areas where a corrosive build would be a bit better. Even though the gas is super nice, you would have to strip. But that's not really, I mean, to be honest, that's not really too big of an issue on mag, right? Like, you even have the slash from her armor. The little pellets or whatever. And you just shoot into it. Nothing has armor anymore. Multiplicative damage on the quick shot, so use it and abuse it. And even the little armor pieces from her shards. Even they do damage. Very meta build. And let's check out the corrosive electric one. It's a little bit easier. Obviously, mag can deal with it easy enough, but it is a little bit easier to deal with armor. And just to show the difference, and that's how you would strip, nice and easy. Still doesn't matter. Then you get a nice little hive of arrows sitting in there. Okay, let's actually show the corrosive damage. It's obviously hard to show it now, considering there's this little armor shards, right? Anyway, there's so many numbers on screen, to be honest, you might as well just take it off. But this would be for a build where you are too lazy to strip. It's okay if you are. If you are stripping, gas heat. Even though the heat will just be an additional dot, it does get bonus damage to Grenier's health pool. So plus 25%, not exactly a loss, right? So this would be a good Grenier build. For strip, gas is uninfringed, and gas will deal hella damage. So, food for thought. These are the builds that I use for this. Let's talk about let's do the meme build. because I kind of want to see it. Let me see where he's at. I gotta check the helmets. Ooh, actually, let's do Sickening Pulse and Expedited Suffering. Oh, sorry, there we go. Oh, geez, the cooldown. Need more armor shred. Or a heavy attack. Works better with heavy attacks, right? Alright, let's do the big one. We'll get some, sorry, not that. Expedited Suffering. 306 duration to amplify the damage as much as possible with strength at 199 to almost double it. For a 6x multiplier to the dot, pretty chunky. Because normally with an Expedited Suffering build, you're only dealing with the damage multiplier itself, but because it cashes in bleeds and poison status, well, we have plenty of that with the Mutalist cernos. Actually, let's make sure we do. Because right now we're heat. Where's electricity at? Alright. So we have electricity, corrosive for more raw damage, 100 munitions. To be honest, if we really wanted to just go ham on this, we could take the high voltage off. And you know what? I'll test that too, just so we can see the damage. Because I want to see it too. But to be honest, because Sickening Pulse does get reduced by enemy armor. I kind of want the corrosive. Oh god, there's too many dots. Well, I one-shot it. I don't know what I did to it. You know what? We'll kill everything and we'll dot the last guy. How about that? Alright, we are stacked up. And of course he dies. Let's get something tankier. Alright, we'll try one more time with these guys. I think that was 60k. $21k. Let's see if I can keep my stacks up before this guy dies. Alright. 76k. But can we do better? Good enough. Do I not have Shattering Impact on here? Crap, I'll use an ability. Hold on. One second, armor strip. And we'll try not to kill him. Good enough. They're already dead. The dot's pretty nasty. Alright. Defenseless enemies. Expedited suffering in hand. Let's see if we can even hit one of these. Yeah, about 70k. Come on. Come on. 120k, I think. Anyway, bad meme. But, college attempt. But anyway, there's your Mutalist Cernos build. Got a 715 on a headshot for raw damage. The weapon's pretty nuts. If you use it with the right thing, anything with Zadas can abuse the hell out of the bow for way more single target damage. The cloud kind of follows where you're shooting, right? So you can sort of make like a line, if you will, for like defense nodes. It's pretty easy to section off like a corridor, right? So like say if from here to here was a corridor, you could with say like a radiation build to provide some like safety. You could also do like a radiation build for like arbitrations. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but it will help. Because anything that doesn't have the Arbidrode on it is going to be susceptible to the rad procs. And even if something is like an Eximus where it has the overguard, you can still aggro them with enemies that have rad damage on them, or the rad status effect. Obviously 10 stacks of radiation is bonus damage to allies. So food for thought. It's a really interesting weapon. And even for something that's quote unquote as weak as it is, 700k headshot. Obviously that's an unarmored enemy, but with as easy as armor is removable nowadays, you just gotta consider the damage versus an armored enemy, the damage versus a non-armored enemy. You just have to consider it. And also, just be cognizant of the issue with the quick attack. Oh, and the other weapon that has it, for those that are interested, is actually the lens. I know I mentioned it, but might as well show you. So right now it's viral. You can see the double up on the viral. Right? We go to, what is it, this build? Yeah, double toxin, blast, double magnetic. So it's got the same issue. Because there's a forced cold proc, so stuff's combining, but it still gives you The cold damage, obviously the direct hit is fine, but this weapon has the same issue. It's just an older weapon thing. And to give you an example of where a modern day weapon would get bit in the ass, would be some Tenet weapons. Actually, all of the Tenet weapons. Yeah, this should work. Okay. So we look at the base damage. No other mods. It's got a really weak impact roll on it. 291. And this is pretty normal. But the thing is that the impact from the Kuva progenitor bonus is supposed to be included in base damage, but then when you mod for it, where anything else, if it was like a toxin bonus or something, you would get the extra help on it. If you mod for an IPS, basically impact, with a Kuva progenitor, right, you get impact. It still has the same issue as before. You don't get, because this applies directly to something and isn't based off of the total damage. It makes trying to proc impact significantly weaker. Not that that's a big issue, but just to give an example of where something can move from like base damage, like the base damage of the weapon, because the toxin on the cernos appears to be included in that. Because of the little extra barbs that follow, right? But they also count as their own instance of damage. It's applying visually incorrect in terms of the modding system, but the damage is fine. But you get to keep the combined element. So it's food for thought. Even on the dot, you can then proc corrosive electricity and toxin on it. And if it crits, you can even apply a slash proc, and you saw that how that worked. So this would be an example of where, like, it's not a good example. The lens was better. Where something, even though it's considered base damage, can then lose its base damage multiplier. And let me show you a toxin weapon. Hold on. I gotta have one. Okay, nice chunky boy. Okay, I don't know what that is. Alright, 60% toxin, Tenet agendas. So our base damage is 304. We're gonna add the 165 element to it, the Prime Fever Strike. And you see we didn't lose anything, because it counts toward base damage, so it scales off of the 304. So the toxin weighting is even stronger with something like this. Well, if you roll an impact ribbon, you better know what you're doing. Or if you roll an impact Tenet weapon, you better know what you're doing with it. Because if you're trying to get a ton of damage out of it, obviously if you have like a negative impact ribbon and you're trying to, say, like do a physical damage type delete, like an IPS delete, it can help a lot. But the issue is that it loses its multiplicative bonus, where it scales on top of itself like the toxin does. Because the toxin weighting from before is contributing to the Prime Fever Strike weighting. It scales itself. So when doing impact, it doesn't do that. It's a niche thing. It doesn't really hurt you that much, but it's one of the things that you lose when you add impact. Obviously, you should be going, if you're doing impact, you should be either trying to get rid of impact Or say like on an impact new core. I got one of those. All right, 44% impact new core. Some garbage build like this. Corrosive radiation, heat, impact. You get slash from hemorrhage. So what is that? Corrosive radiation, heat, impact, slash. Microwave. What's the other one? And blast. So 7 statuses. So it's... But this is a conditional no. I mean, obviously a good one. But it does allow slam attacks to proc the little tendrils for puncture damage. It's not super helpful, but it stuns them for like a second, and it scales with set bonus, right? So, food for thought. There you go. Hopefully the Mutalist cernos build is helpful. Just keep it simple. The weapon is stupid strong, but don't, if you're gonna do quick attack, don't mod for charge rate. If you're going for a charged shot, for whatever reason, swap out for anemic. You know, or sorry, not anemic. That's the pistol mod. Vial acceleration. So you would just boop, and there you go. And you would literally survive on like the charge attacks, and it reduces. You see, we lost 0.2 on the reload, but we gained more than 0.6. So every 0.7 and change seconds, we would be able to fire off a shot. Like a shot would leave the bow with perfect timing. So this is just food for thought. But that's how it would work. I like the quick attack build. It's just, it's so nice. So with vial acceleration, it's every 0.7 seconds, give or take. Or with the charge shot build, with the quick attack build, it's every 0.3. So it fires more than twice as fast. So there you go. I hope that's helpful, bro. That's, and I hope that explanation. I didn't do a math breakdown. If you comment that you want the math breakdown, I'll do the math breakdown. But you don't lose any damage. So that's the thing. Like, where people were like, oh, I get corrosive on electric. You don't lose any damage when you mod for a single element. It's just when you start adding a bunch. Right? So it's food for thought. And we did the what was it, heat cold, and you're basically going to just use it for status chance, so it can bump your status chance way up. But the elemental damage is going to be bumped down also. Oh, and obviously, hold on, magnetic. I said magnetic. And you would just use the magnetic for pure status chance and for the dot, or for the bonus damage to shields, but you would still try to kill with the toxin dot. But this will help you. Now, normally you don't have to worry about this, right? Because toxin bypasses shields, but proto shields exist. So the toxin has to burn through them. If you're not running anything, like you haven't gotten around to helmeting Styanax, and you don't have the universal remove defenses button, this can be a way to deal with it. If you got that viral toxin, there's a reason I have this ribbon. Crit chance cold minus impact. It's literally what I do with it is I'll strip them. You'll get viral toxin. It is a wonderful ribbon. Viral cold and toxin. Perfect for dealing with Corpus Demolis. So, food for thought. This is what I was doing Lua with for a bit. Obviously, I had other stuff over here, but you see the logic behind it. Full strip them, cold proc them to slow them down. You get innate toxin. I think it was even running 100 munitions and something else. I had a throwaway mod there, but I hope that helps. Those are the builds. That's the story. So stay excellent, guys. Take it easy. Have a blessed day. I hope this is helpful.